Stephen here at COPING-20, the only Facebook and YouTube show where in about 20 minutes or less, we're going to figure out together how we're going to be as positive and as present as possible during coronavirus times. Thank you in advance for liking and sharing this episode and liking the COPING-20 page. Now, I was listening to another gentleman's show today, and this episode was actually from several years ago. It was from actually 2015. And I was watching it, and I actually shared it with my students in personal growth and development class because it was so powerful. And he was talking about how being present and the power of now, Eckhart Tolle, was at the time so fundamental and so paramount for him to stick to. For him, it was his fitness goals. And it kind of just made me expand my mindset. And it made me think, wow, this is even more crucial during these times. Some of us get stuck in this mindset, this mentality trap, if you will, where life will just be good when I reach my goal. Some of you that want to lose weight or you want to make more money, but now we're in a bigger problem because life will just be good when the pandemic is over. Then I'll work on my goals. I can't do it until the pandemic is over. Life can't be good until something that doesn't exist. And the premise is the future doesn't exist yet, and this moment just continues on. And so, pandemic or not, negativity or not, we still must look at our goals, embrace them, and keep moving forward. And I have a guest today, Michelle, my friend Michelle, and she's done just that. She was already working 2 jobs, and then she worked really hard to study to get a 3rd job, and she now does all 3 during these times. So let me tell you, if there's such thing as an excuse buster, it's Michelle. So I'm going to have Michelle tell us a little bit about herself. And those of you at home, as the conversation flows, with this episode, I really want you to take some notes down, because I know one of the things that she's going to talk about is writing and writing goals down. I want you to take notes and really listen to what she and I say, because this is going to be one of the most powerful episodes we've ever done. So Michelle, go ahead and fire away and tell us a little bit about yourself.
Hey everyone. Well, Stephen, first of all, thank you for having me. I feel super blessed to be part of this process. Well, as if you know, my name is Michelle Caballero, and currently I am a full-time mother and a full-time employer. I do part-time fitness training, and I just got my real estate license, which is really exciting. So I got a lot going on. And, you know, as Stephen was saying, it's not easy, you know, when you're trying to juggle so much at one time, and then all of a sudden you get, you know, the carpet slid from under you and a pandemic hits, you know, and your world just kind of comes to a halt because we don't know, we're kind of like walking blind, you know, so we feel like our current goals are kind of being tampered with, but, you know, that's not the case, guys. That's not the case at all. I will tell you, you are a person, your own individual that decides what you're going to do with what was laid on the table in front of you and how you're going to handle it. And when you have it written down in front of you and you have a goal in mind, like, you just got to go for it. No matter what comes at you in any kind of direction, you just got to ride the wave, and you have to find a way to get through. And so we kind of want to cover, you know, major key points in this episode of how to do those things, how to continue to live your life as normal as possible during these difficult times, and continue to be hitting those goals, and continue to, you know, to motivate yourself and to grow within yourself, and to not just for yourself, but for, you know, the people around you, because, you know, we're struggling ourselves, and we sometimes don't realize that other people struggle around us. And so it's really nice to kind of finally be on a platform where we all feel the same thing, so we can all finally relate which is something that I think that COVID has brought to us, is that we all kind of are in the same boat right now. We all can relate to each other, and we all can motivate each other and feed off of each other's energy. So yeah, so hopefully this episode really gives you some kind of motivation. I'm hoping to keep pushing forward and keep going.
Excellent. Very powerful. So much. So my first question that I have for you is, what was your overall goal regarding what you pursued with real estate, and what was something that you could share about what really pushed you to that goal and kept you on track with it?
Yeah, so I think my main objective with real estate was, having a young child. I really thought about what can I do so that I can, work around my son's schedule, and try to be there as much as possible. And I've always been the type that I want to be kind of like my own boss. And so really, real estate really just came to me as an opportunity. And the more homework that I did, and I started realizing, okay, this could be really good for me. I never in a million years, like back in high school, I would have never thought that I was going to do real estate. But, as time changes and time keeps moving forward, things happen, your mindset changes and things come to you. And so when you have this idea, you kind of want to do your research first, and you want to see how it's going to fit with you and the skills that's required to do that. So I had my main goal, right? That was my objective. And I told myself, okay, realistically, in the situation that I'm in now, how much time do I think that it's going to take me to maintain, to take the class, get the license, and then actually start, having clients, So I wrote it all on paper, guys. Like, I literally wrote from the start of my process to where I think I want to be. And once I figured out what I want, I put I wanted to feed it. So what's your why? This is probably one of the most important points to any goal that you have, because if you don't have a reason behind your goal, then that will die. That will just fade out so quickly, and you won't even realize it. So you really have to figure out, why is it that you want to do this? And it should be very important. So for me, it was my son. I'm not gonna lie, my son was my motivator. He was the reason why, I pushed myself to study. I didn't get sleep. I never had time to spend with my friends and family, but it was because I knew that I wanted to give him a better life. So I had to do what it took to pass my test and receive my license. So the why is so important, and it's going to feed, and it will feed your goal and make it come true. It will make it a reality.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, so that was something for me that I really fed off of.
That's awesome. Yeah, and one thing I will add to that, which is very important, is, so in the field of special education, as a learning behavior specialist, I write goals for students, right? And in special ed, when you make a goal, it should be aligned to obviously learning standards such as Common Core, but
Right.
it's really supposed to be tailored to that student. And there's an acronym called SMART, and we talk about specific, measurable, achievable, realistic, and timely. And that's something people can look up if you want to learn how to write really good goals for yourself. But generally, you have a big goal, and then you break it down into shorter term, which could be called benchmarks or objectives. We usually evaluate them 4 times a year through the quarter. But with what you said is, what is the why? And that's what reminded me of 2 things. One was that, because to make a goal, it has to be based on what that student needs, what their deficit or disability is. But then you also need 2 data points, right? Which could be, you know, their grades, their attendance, behavior and attendance, grades, behavior, or more. You need 2 data points. And I was just working on an IEP plan today, ironically. And with what you said, what is your why, it also reminded me of another motivational speaker and author, Simon Sinek, and he talks about what is your why and what is your purpose. And I think that that's so powerful that you've found it and you've really developed it and expanded on it. So I want to ask you, Michelle, what specific strategy do you suggest for those at home that are maybe struggling in general, but then even more so beyond that, struggling just because some of us still are at home, maybe they're back to work, but you know, there's anxiety with that. Maybe they're still at home and they're finding themselves distracted.
Yeah.
What strategies and advice would you give for that?
So personally, I feel that above all things, in order to achieve and accomplish something great, there has to be a lot of self-discipline. Self-discipline is not something that us humans are born with. So please don't feel, you know, like you are incapable of learning the skill of self-discipline. Self-discipline is taught, and it is, I can advise you on, you know, ideas of how to achieve self-discipline, but ultimately it's up to you. You have to be the person that decides, you know what, I'm going to get up and I'm going to do this. I really don't feel like it right now, but I'm going to do it anyways because I wrote it on my planner that I'm going to get it done today. So I have to get it done. And so, you know, they say, have you ever heard of people say, you know, you, in order to make something a habit, you have to do it for a number of consecutive days. I think it's like 25 days. And if you test that theory, it ultimately becomes true, because when you start doing something out of habit, it just becomes a routine for you, to the point where you don't even have to think about doing it anymore. You just do it. And so before anything, before you start, you know, taking those first steps towards your goal, learn how to be learn the skill of self-discipline, because once you are disciplined, I can guarantee you, and I will promise you, that nothing will ever stop you and nothing will ever get in your way, because you and only you can determine how far you go, which kind of ties in also with time management. I'm a very busy person and I have a lot going on, being a mom with 3 jobs. I'm not gonna lie, I've had my moments where I felt like I was just gonna lose my head, you know, like I'm juggling this and I'm juggling that, but I really do rely on my planner. Like, this is my baby, and I write everything down, when I'm gonna do it and how I'm gonna do it and where I'm gonna do it. And if I don't see, you know, a slash through that at the end of the day, I kind of put myself on a timeout. I'm kind of like, I cannot believe you did not do that today. Like, how dare you? And so that really does motivate me to kind of like finally put a check mark. Okay, done, and it's done, out of the way. So yeah, guys, self-discipline and time management, those are 2 important, very important things that you need to learn how to develop, and they can be developed. It's just a matter of, you know, how bad you want it, you know, and what you're willing to do to achieve that goal that you have. That's and whatever goal that it is, you know, if it scares you, if that goal scares you, you got to go for it. You know, there's so many different things that can make us feel uncomfortable, and when a person feels uncomfortable or kind of timid, scared of a goal, they kind of back away, and they don't really give themselves that chance. So, you know, why risk that? Why, you know, we're given this beautiful life, and you should think to yourself, I was put on this earth to make my full potential, and I want to do that for myself, so.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, and I think that one thing I would add to that, and this is something that I discussed on another podcast I was on. I was on the 10-minute daily reality check with David Wygant, and we were discussing about how to do, people like to write to-do lists, right? But I think that what works even better than that is what you said, is you really have to schedule the different that you're doing. So instead of just writing a list of things that you need to do, I would suggest people to actually use something more like what you're using, whether it's digital or whether it's on paper like that, and really start structuring. And that's also something in the classroom, structuring different times for, this is my self-development, inspiration time. This is my time for my first job. This is my time for my second job, third job, this is my time for, and I thank you again for coming on the show, because you are so busy, but that had to go on the planner too. This is my time to go on COPING-20. Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, it's 100%. It takes a little bit of practice to kind of get it down and for it to become a habit more than anything. But once you do that, it just kind of, your day just kind of goes by a lot smoother, and then you're kind of able to dedicate some time to yourself to reflect and to grow just within yourself. So for me, since my day is so kind of jam-packed, people tell me all the time, like, how do you even make time to still go to the gym? And I'm just like, well, it's not easy. Like I said, I always say that it's not easy, but I want it so bad that I will get up at 4:30 in the morning, because that's the only window that I have to get to the gym. And health for me is like super important, because I want to maintain like a healthy emotionally and physically, mentally, it just, health plays into a lot more roles than people really think about. And for me, if I don't maintain myself healthy, then I'm not going to be able to do all of this stuff. There's no way that I'd be able to accomplish all this stuff being, sick all the time, or, in a emotionally mental stage where I just can't handle it. So it's just as important to me as everything else going on in my life. So I have to make time for it, and there's no excuse for it for me. And so I think that's just the mentality that I really would love to feed for other people, that you just really have to schedule your time wisely, and do it for yourself and do it for your loved ones, and it'll happen.
And you said on the call before we went, you said something really powerful. You said, be the voice in your own head, or your voice should be what you hear. Can you explain a little bit more about that in terms of motivating yourself?
Of course. There's always going to be a time for everyone where you feel lost. You feel like you keep putting 100% of yourself, and you don't necessarily get that 100% back. And they say the hardest times come when you are about to reach that point of success, and you just kind of have to like break through that wall. So for me, being in the fitness industry as well, I had to teach myself how to motivate myself. And I will give you an example. People, a lot of my friends will be like, hey, like, I want to go to the gym. Will you come with me? I don't really want to go by myself, because I just don't want to go by myself. And I'm like, well, that's fine. I would love to accompany you, but you have to be that person that takes yourself there, that pushes you through your workout, because at the end of the day, guys, you need to depend on yourself and no one else. Like, and I'm not saying that to be like, you know, don't ask for help or don't depend on others, because of course we always need somebody else in our goals. Like, there's always going to be people that give you that extra push.
Mm-hmm.
But at the end of the day, you have to be that person that decides what path you're going to take and how you're going to take it. And so self-motivation to me, again, is just as important as everything else, because you have to be the person in your own head, you know, telling yourself, you need to do this.
Mm-hmm.
You know, what's your why? Remember why you wanted to do this, Michelle. Like, and I can guarantee you, if you listen to your own voice, there will be nothing. You won't hear any other voice telling you you can't. And every other voice that tells you you can't do it or that makes you feel like you can't do it will immediately die out. And yeah, I just, that's just something that I feel like that's also important.
That's excellent. That's excellent. Thank you for sharing that message. And I would say there's something called PIC, that stands for person in charge. And I want everybody listening and watching this to remember that you are the person in charge of your own life. And therefore you are the one who has to do everything in your own power to have the best possible mindset and be as present as possible in yourself to make the best decisions for your own life.
Yeah.
And, Michelle, thank you so much for coming on the show. If this wasn't
Thank you for having me.
Absolutely, if this wasn't a powerful guest with a powerful message, then I simply do not know who is. So, please answer those you at home.
No, it's just that
Go ahead.
I'm just grateful to finally be in a position where I feel like I can send a message to other people, you know, because I'm not gonna lie, you know, I'm human. I've had those moments where I just felt like I didn't know what I was doing. I didn't know where I was going. I didn't even know where to start. And I told myself, okay, it's not gonna fall in your lap. You know, what do you want? What do you want? And put it on paper, write it on your mirror, put sticky notes all over to constantly remind you. If that's what you have to do, no matter if it sounds cheesy, just do it. Because at the end of the day, you guys, this is your life, and everybody deserves to live their life to the fullest. And the one thing that I think about every single day I tell myself this, and I hope this helps you. I would hate to die and not fulfill the person that I was created to be. In other words, you know, you're on your deathbed. Imagine you on your deathbed, not to make this like super sad or anything, but imagine you looking at yourself saying, you could have done this. You could have been this. You could have gone far, and you just never did it. And that, to me, will be my biggest regret in my life, is if I look back and I say, I could have done that, but I just didn't do it. I didn't seek out my full potential. Mm-hmm. That is what you don't want. So I encourage you to just take a few moments and just write down your goals and your time frame, and just kind of set yourself up little by little. And if you got, you know, you want to reach out to us and, you know, kind of get a little bit of more tips and resources, like, we're here.
Yes, we are. Time. For everybody listening at home, please, first and foremost, share this episode, because somebody you know, or maybe even somebody that you know that they know, will certainly benefit from this. And I want to say thanks again, Michelle. And everybody at home, stay safe. Things are starting to look better, and it will continue to get better. I know that there are two pharmaceutical companies that have antibody-based drugs that are seeking emergency use authorization. So we just need to do everything we can to work together to be as safe as possible, and we will get through it. The light at the end of the tunnel can be seen. So this has been COPING-20 with guest Michelle. Thank you so much. And
Thank you.